so
Okay, hold
I could add a
on.
view and then
Okay, hold on, guys. How are you, everybody? We are live. Okay, you guys, listen, now we are live. This is a casual, informal get together. We have Lauren Conlon joining us. If you guys don't know, she writes for the LA Mag. You've seen her on News Nation, Nancy Grace. She has an amazing podcast. She is a preliminary reporter first, definitely investigator, criminal specialist, and she goes where other people don't want to go. We called her on to talk about what's going on in the David case. There's been so much talked about in the David case, some true, some speculation. However, Lauren has deep dive. She's talked to who needs to be talked to, private investigators, law enforcement. She has information that goes beyond what you hear on YouTube and TikTok. I wanted her to invite her on to, one, have a conversation with her, deep dive, talk to her why the LAPD is covering up this murder. I'm just joking, but she's going to let us know what she's actually investigated. And also where the case is going and why there is so much secrecy, and which is drawing so many conspiracy theories from all over to talk about this. So with no further ado, Lauren, thank you so much for joining us.
yes, no, of course. Thank you for having me. I mean, Tisa, this case it's heartbreaking. Number one, I mean, I am definitely, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but I was so upset when the footage from the neighbor ring cam was released that showed Celeste appearing to scream at her family, so upset about a prank they pulled or something. And I think for me, I was just thinking to myself, this girl really went through a lot. I mean, I'm not, I think that a lot of people are coming down really hard on the family right now. And I don't think that we know enough. Like I will absolutely say at a certain point in time, they neglected her XYZ when we have all of the information. However, hearing her right on that video, she's upset. She runs away a lot. Something was going on in that house, I think. And it breaks my heart that, within her short life, she experienced so much trauma and the world has to see it. And it's awful. But what were you going to say? I felt you were going to say something. Yeah.
Listen, let's just jump right into the meat of this then, because this is something that actually concerned me a lot too. I feel like when people hear the word, that old saying that women are only believed when they're dead, and only if they were perfect. And even if they were the mother that sacrificed her life, she better not have burnt the soup the night before. So when I hear somebody that has run away numerous times at 13 years old, I think you are troubled. I think you have a chip on your shoulder. I think you are unnecessarily aggressive. Why? Because that is the world you live in. To me, it's not surprising that a 13-year-old runaway is aggressive, is hostile, is picking fights with everyone. You don't come from a super, super happy home and run away a bunch of times. So to me, I mean, it could happen, but to me, it makes more sense. My question with this is, who is leaking this information? Because I've made no secret of the fact that I think that maybe it's not on purpose, but I feel like the LAPD is operating as a PR bridge for David's camp. We know that Celeste came from a troubled childhood. There's a ring cam footage released showing her, acting like a bad little kid. We see that, guess what? It might have been an OD. She might have been on drugs, much of which is coming from the LAPD. But we haven't heard about David, his home life, who he stayed with, who played with, who his friends were. Have you heard anything about who David is? Because I know David as the person who a dead body was found in his trunk. One, who David is, and two, where do you think these leaks are painting Celeste in a very, very bad way? Where do you think it's coming from?
Well, the LAPD has only really officially made a couple of statements. And I think what's happening right now is that we're all reading between the lines. But I mean, when this story first broke, and I'm even on the record saying this on News Nation, I even said, it's kind of hard not to point a finger at David right now, although we had to keep saying over and over, he's not a suspect, he's not a POI. You got to keep saying that. But it's like, okay, so a body of a minor young girl was found in his car. They are seen on streams together, multiple streams. You know, I mean, you've got this guy whose lyrics, romantic homicide, I killed you in my mind and I didn't even regret it. A song called Celeste, bloody t-shirts, this fascination, a morbid fascination with homicide and romance. And you're just like, so what are we waiting for, right? That's okay. So that's where all of our heads are at. And slowly but surely, as the weeks have gone by and there still has not been an arrest made, I think we're backpedaling a little bit. I think that there was a little bit of someone in the LAPD spoke too soon. I don't think she was dismembered. This is what I'm going to say. Don't think she was dismembered. I don't. And I went with it. Again, I am on the record saying,
why don't you think she was dismembered?
So first, I said, you know, I don't think it's a first time killer. A first time killer doesn't dismember, blah, blah, blah. And then again, slowly but surely, you know, I'm talking to the medical examiner's office. I'm talking to this PI. The PI says, well, you know, if you look at these records in various media reports, and listen, they won't say much to you when you call them. I do have, they sent me a proof of death certificate, which is like, as of the 19th, her body was still pending further medical evaluation. So, you know, but I think that the dismemberment, I think it came from just an overzealous LAPD officer, and people kind of spun it and ran with it because why not? I mean, they said it was in a container, you know, and it was dismembered and decomposing. So the fact is, what I'm thinking right now is that she was in that car for weeks, maybe over a month. It's very hot. And unfortunately, I hate saying this, she's a beautiful young girl, she should still be here. But she most likely was decomposing and falling apart. I don't think she was dismembered because, you know, she was fully clothed. She had a tube top on. She had, you know, black pants. And also, if you're going to dismember somebody, maybe to conceal their identity, wouldn't they cut off the finger with, you know, with the tattoo if they want to hide that? But you know, then on the other hand, it's the Tesla, the 2023, I think it's is it the Model X? Either way, I think so. Yeah, it's this trunk that has about 6 cubic feet of space. Not huge, right? Not huge. So that would also indicate, okay, well, maybe she was dismembered. But then again, I hear all the time, unfortunately, about bodies being contorted into suitcases, not dismembered. If they moved her from another location, she could have fit. It's a lot. So at this point, I think that police are indicating to us that it wasn't a homicide. That's what I think at this point. My mind could change.
To be honest with you, I am not buying what the LAPD is selling. Two things about the dismemberment, okay? The LAPD came out and made their first official statement in People magazine, not the LA Times, not the New York Times, not anything, but People magazine. People magazine is what it is, but it is just a tabloid that PR people feel comfortable, and I say that as someone that talks to gossip, there's no shade to people, that they have very, very strong links to the PR people. So usually when you see something in People, you know, okay, it probably came from one of the sources. They made a statement in People magazine, which I thought was very curious. But secondly, they dispelled so many other myths, even going so far as to tell us, without toxicology, we don't think she was murdered. Okay, great. But why did they not dispel the dismemberment myth? That was the biggest thing that really took this into Conspiracyville, but also brought it over to true crime TikTok. Why? Again, they have no problem letting us know and releasing that she was a bad little kid. No problem in letting us know she had run away a bunch of times. They seem very quiet on the fact that they refuse to, it seems like, research her runaway, or at least step in and intervene. But also, why haven't they dispelled this when they were so happy to go on record about other things? In my experience, TMZ, I have my qualms with them, right? I feel like they're biased sometimes. But when they get information from the actual force, police, fire, whatever, they're usually pretty spot on. Have you ever seen such a big thing that ran, and the fact that they dispelled other rumors? So why didn't they say anything about her not being cut up into pieces?
Well, a couple things I think that, I'll try to address.
Yeah.
So the LAPD, when they spoke to people, they didn't really say anything new, to be honest. I mean, in my opinion, they keep like recycling the same phrase just in different ways. So I'm like, okay. But I do think that, I mean, this is factual. You can't determine a manner or cause of death without the full autopsy, which includes the toxicology, which can take up to 6 weeks. So because of that, I don't think that they are ready to come out and say, without a shadow of a doubt, she was not dismembered until they have all of the information. They have to be responsible about this. However, I do have some links into TMZ, and they have said that LAPD usually does kind of talk with them a bit more than they are right now. They are keeping this case in particular extremely close to the vest. And I don't think that LAPD has been the one that really has leaked anything about Celeste running away and possibly being troubled. I think that's just all TMZ doing some digging, on their own. But I just think it's tough. You got to have a manner of death as homicide here before everything else breaks open, and that's that.
Right there, because this is my thing. It sounds good. They're being very cautious, but does it sound very cautious that the chief is saying that it might be an OD? Why are they putting out maybes without a toxicology report? I think that is a huge jump to say. I think it might be an OD. Where did that come from?
That now maybe they know more than they're telling us.
But how could you know an OD without a toxicology report unless you're listening to the guy whose Tesla she was found in and that she lived in saying she OD'd? And if you are going to do that, sir, her body was found in your car. Why would we take your word for anything? You could be telling the truth, but right now it doesn't look like it.
I mean, I'm sure they're talking to multiple people, but there's also a such thing as a preliminary report that they possibly looked at. They just can't conclusively say, but because of XYZ, they're kind of putting that out there. Perhaps, I don't know, to take some of the quote heat off David, because let's be real. His reputation, he's done. I think his career is done regardless. And I'm not even talking about his relationship or alleged relationship with a minor here. I'm just thinking from that perspective that he's going to need some major damage control done. But I go back to like this whole thing where I started to think about it and say, well, and I said this, I made a video, I think 2 weeks ago saying, well, maybe it is an OD, because what kind of moron would kill an underage girl he's in a relationship, leave her in his car and then go on tour? And not only just leave her in his car, but he's got a driveway right there. The car was in front of the driveway, just on a street. I believe, I forget what street it was, but it's like, what are you doing? Like, who would do that? No one that stupid would do that.
Okay, but then let's look at the other thing. You're saying nobody that stupid would do that. What type of moron, if somebody ODs, drags the dead body to their trunk and then tries to hide it? If you didn't do it, this makes you look guilty as all sin.
Oh, and here's the thing. You would be guilty of concealment, possible obstruction, but they did it because she's 14, right? Like, you can't have a 13 or 14-year-old girl as a 20-year-old man in your house doing drugs. Like, you are going to jail for a very long time. So that's what I thought. I was just like, okay, so and listen, I'm also not putting any blame on Celeste. She, you know what I mean? Like, God, me as a 13-year-old, I can't even imagine if like some famous singer was paying attention to me, and I'm, again,
exactly,
I don't want to be accusing anybody of anything, but like, if it was an OD, I'm not blaming her at all. She's a child. But yeah, somebody, David or someone in his camp, who apparently was not Josh Marshall, because Josh Marshall had no interaction with him on a day-to-day basis, according to him, but it was someone else possibly that maybe helped him, or maybe, I find it hard to believe that David did this on his own if he had anything to do with the concealment of the body. But I gotta say, I don't think that they did a search on his house, right? because she was found in his car. They got a probable cause search warrant, search the house, whatever. So whatever devices are in there, they can take and search, but they don't have, he's not arrested. So whatever devices are on his person, those are his, unless he willingly turned them over to cops to be like, here, I'm cooperating. I don't know.
But this is my issue with the way the LAPD has been handling this. Matthew Perry, when he was found OD, the way they're acting like the OD is just the end of the story, because there's so much you bring up. Okay, we're going to go back to David's manager, Josh Marshall, in a second. We're going to go back to this. The way this case was handled, and this is what I'm having trouble understanding. When Matthew Perry died, they did a manhunt to see who sold him whatever it is he OD'd up. This girl is 13. Even if it wasn't dismemberment, a lot of crimes, harboring a runaway, harboring an underage person, not making them go to school, you're violating truancy laws, supplying them with rugs. She had no income, you were her sole source, this and that. On top of that, when she OD'd, did you call an ambulance? How did you declare that she was passed away? How can we be so certain, right? Because if she was 14 and he's like, oh, I'm getting tired of her, I want to go live my life. I'm sick of like watching Blue's Clues with her. So what do you do? Let's just say that he OD'd her on purpose, or let's just say she OD'd and he looked at her and was like, yeah, this is the answer to all my problems. It doesn't just stop with, oh, well, she OD'd. Did you help her? Were you there when she OD'd? Did you assist her since you were the one that gave her drugs and you were harboring?
Those are all great points. They'll get there once they have the conclusive information. But I mean, I'm just baffled every day. I am like, literally, if you would have asked me a week ago, I'd be like, David did it. Like, I'm just like, who else did it? You know what I mean? I'd be like, yeah, obviously. And now I'm just like,
David
also, I confirmed that about a week ago, David hired Blair Burke, who is a celebrity attorney. She's represented Mel Gibson, Harvey Weinstein when he got a DUI, lots of celebrities who get in quote unquote scrapes. Keep that in mind, Tisa, scrapes. She has tried murder cases before, most recently, Monica something, the woman that was accused of murdering her hairdresser husband, whatever. I can't remember.
Yes,
she has, but she is not this bulldog defense attorney in LA like an Alan Jackson or something. So I'm like, okay, David hires an attorney. That's smart, but she's not a bulldog murder attorney. What does that tell you? Right?
It tells me that that's the only thing David's told us, because you can hire
he hasn't said anything.
He has to. There's no way that information leaked without David. The attorney's team wouldn't leak it because that's their bread and butter. I often find that you either have people in David's camp giving that information, but again, there could be an actual bulldog lawyer in the background that we don't know about. For instance, how long did Diddy have? We knew Mark Agnifilio, but he went through like 4 other lawyers before we actually got to his current quote unquote dream team. So the fact that he hired a lawyer for scrapes, because maybe he's hoping the cops are buying the OD alibi and that they'll help do it. And then all he has to do is say, listen, I made a big mistake. I don't know what happened. As far as his career being over, I don't know about that. His streams have almost quadrupled. He is making so much money from this, and there are
so many. Interscope hasn't dropped him because I'm like, Interscope going to say something. I think they're like, nope. His streams are like, woo. Yeah, no. But she is a criminal defense attorney by trade, because at first I was like, well, maybe she's just like his entertainment lawyer or something. Yeah. And I was like, nope. Criminal defense. And yeah, it's very common for these guys to add people to their legal team. No doubt at all. If I were him, I think I would have just started. If I felt like I was in big trouble, I would start with the bulldog. But again, we're just surmising here because there's so much that we don't know.
There's so much. But let me just ask you this. Are you familiar with David's alter ego, Itumi?
So weird. Yes, I guess now I am.
Let me explain to the audience what it is. So David has an alter ego called Itami. He is a serial killer who, in the video, chops up a girl. He throws her in a trunk. And then he goes on this huge chase with the cops, and the cops are trying to find him. And at the tour, he had people taking white shirts and putting blood all over it, and his whole new tour looks like a memorial for the person Tommy killed. This is his alter ego. So we have Celeste, who, by David's own words, as Celeste, he's obsessed with. We have a Tommy that actually kills and cuts up a woman, puts her in a trunk, goes on a thing, and the police are trying to find it, and he's getting away with it. Okay. The blood, the gore. If you guys don't know, gore porn is when he's even said in videos he watches gore porn. Gore corn, because he wants to kill.
I'm not laughing. I'm sorry. It's all too like coincidental. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
exactly. He's going to say that he likes gore corn because it kills the part of empathy in him that he needs to kill. Again, I've never seen this much evidence outside of a detective movie. And the fact that the police are like, well, it might have been an OD. What do you say to that with it being on the nose? Have you ever seen anything like that happen? And does that change the way that the police are viewing this investigation?
No, I mean, what you just said is part of the reason for the first week and a half that I was like, why are we even looking at anyone else? You know, it's kind of just like, it's too much. It's too much to bear, all of these coincidences. And I've said multiple times on the record, I don't really believe in coincidences, you know? But, and again, going back to the fact that she was in his car. I mean, all of this combined, you'd think we'd have this open and shut case, which it's not. It's not. So everything you said, as crazy and as coincidental as it is, it's still just circumstantial. And I got to say this, and this might be really unpopular, but it's also going to be really difficult for police to prove that David and Celeste were in a sexual relationship because she's deceased, unless they get his phone and they can sort of pinpoint, you know, certain things. It's just going to be, it's going to be a hard, it's going to be hard, I think, at this point. Just screams are not enough. I think, you know.
Yeah, I think as far as proving a relationship, okay, fine. Maybe we won't have a video to prove that you guys were in bed together. Who knows what the relationship is? We do know that, let's talk about Josh Marshall. We do know, according to, I think, JF Investigations, Mr. Fisher claims that there was an email. Yes, he claimed that there's an email that was sent to David's camp saying, listen, Celeste is a kid, send her home. And she came home. She was brought home days later. Again, crimes, I think right now, harboring an underage, because you knew she was underage. How else did she get the fake IDs? Harboring an underage girl, maybe giving her narcotics, maybe giving her alcohol, maybe helping her get a fake ID, keeping her for school, that's illegal. And of course, hiding a body. And when you say cooperating with police, if you did not tell the police everything that you know in the exact order it happened, obstruction of justice. But let's go to Josh Marshall, because he's the one that was supposed to be emailed a letter. You have had communications. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I actually had Steve Fisher, who is so wonderful. Yeah. He's a great PI based out of Los Angeles. I had him on a live stream last week, and we're just trying to go through all the facts here because, again, it's hard to sift through all this stuff. And just as a side note, I'm not batting for anybody here. I'm just explaining, I guess, sort of the process that goes along with making these arrests and the evidence that's needed. For me, it doesn't matter either way who did this. A girl is dead and she should not be dead, and multiple people failed her. And we need to get the person who did it off the street so people feel safe in Los Angeles. And that's super important. But Steve said this on my stream, and I was shocked. I just kind of said, wow. So it sounds like this email was sent and maybe it wasn't responded to, or it didn't get a reply, but Celeste returned home as almost if somebody gave a heads up or a warning. Well, I think that little exchange sort of made the rounds on like TikTok and YouTube, and it became this headline, like Josh Marshall knows. And there was a creator, Girl Town. She did this video and she's like, Josh Marshall got an email, blah, blah, blah. And he commented on the video with denials. And I saw this and I was like, there is no way that's him. He's been silent for weeks. Like, this is crazy. Why would you go and comment on a random TikTok video? Why would you? And he was clapping back. Like, people in the comments were like, I think Josh is super involved. And he's like, how dare you say that without the facts? So I was going to file a story about this, about, him breaking his silence. But before I did that, I was like, obviously I need to make sure it's him for real. So, you can dig on his account. You can see that he followed his wife, if you know his wife's name. So I dug into her account. I saw that he was commenting on stuff from, years ago. So I'm like, all right, I am 98% sure it's him. I decide to slide in. And he answers. He is not happy with me. And he actually says, he says, you cannot use anything that I say, what we talk about here for your reports. I was just like, no. I just want to make sure it's you.
Gotcha.
And that you said this on this, on this video. And he said, yes. And I'll just leave the rest out. So I got confirmation.
So that was his actual account that he was commenting in TikTok comments. Okay. So he was commenting in TikTok comments, and that was verified. And in the TikTok comment, he said that he never received the email.
He said he never received an email, which is possible. Like, somebody can send an email. Maybe you have a letter wrong. Maybe it goes into junk. I don't know. I wasn't there. What?
I checked with law enforcement, and they said, if he's telling the truth or not, the police will be able to tell, because, some of us have like mail delivery. I don't, but some people do, right? Where you get a confirmation. They said that they can tell forensically whether you actually opened the email, even if you didn't respond back, whether you opened it. So it's going to be soon enough if we find out who's telling the truth and who isn't telling the truth. They were the same ones that actually referred to the fact of, even if it wasn't OD, that's not the end of the case. Did you try to get her help? Were you there? Did you supply? There's crimes all in that. Especially when you look at the Matthew Perry, the way they treated the people that supplied him drugs.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, Josh is in his denial. He did not mention Celeste by name, which to me indicated that he possibly did lawyer up and he shouldn't be mentioning her at all. But he made sure to ding all of the whole, like, I'm not his roommate. I'm barely ever there. I barely talk to him. I don't, I have so many other clients. And it's interesting because every manager that I've spoken to in the industry, they talk to their clients a lot. But of course, Josh is going to distance himself from David right now. Of course he is. I get that. However, I did go to Steve because I'm just like, the PI. I'm like, look at this denial. This guy's accusing me of a lot of stuff here. He's accusing me of defamation and all this stuff. And of course, I'm going to report his side as well because he denied it. But Steve's like, no, my source said law enforcement asked her for the letter, or him. I actually don't know the gender. I just went for the her. And it was sent to law enforcement. So now law enforcement has this email/letter. So I don't know. But what's crazy is, like I was telling you, Tisa, I don't pay attention to a lot of drama or like a lot of things that people say about me, whatever. I really just try to do like honest work.
You do an incredible job, Lauren.
No, I just try so hard. So on Banfield the other night, somebody clipped, or Banfield News Nation clipped something that I said. And I guess it sounded like I said Josh Marshall made this statement on my live stream, which if you watch the whole beginning of the clip, the News Nation clip, we're talking about the article I wrote, how he said it on this TikTok video. We even show a screenshot of the girl's video. Okay. I mean, how dumb would I have to be if I lied about that? So people thought, because the way I said it on live TV wasn't very clear. And that's my bad if I wasn't as clear, but like also watch the whole thing. You think that you're making sense on live TV and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I sounded like a moron, my bad. But I like wake up to like emails, like someone named True Crime Ree. She's like, I sent emails to Nancy Grace, like, nice try, bitch. Like, I don't even know. And I'm like, what? And then I go and look at the news, I'm tagged and all this stuff in News Nation, like, Lauren's a liar. And I'm like, man, I feel like,
you guys, public service announcement, stop emailing Nancy. She does not care.
Second of all, general, why would I lie?
But second of all, to set the record straight, you have had contact with Josh Marshall.
Sure.
You verified that was his TikTok account. You were one of the first people, if not the first, to verify that was his actual and then he actually had a conversation with you, which I believe you cannot share the details of that. But at
there
the end of
wasn't
the
much
day,
there, Tisa, anyway. But like, you know what I mean? Like, not much there.
But here's the thing: I get what you're saying with Josh Marshall. That was him. He confirmed. He just said, but he said a whole bunch of nothing except for shut up, stop talking about me, which I can understand people saying shut up, stop talking to me. I do find it very, very odd that a manager, he might have other clients, but we all know managers will throw away all the other clients that moment to focus on the one that's really blowing up. And David was his rising star and he was on tour. So I find it very, very hard to believe that a manager was not instrumental, even in, if they weren't, let's just say they weren't in a sexual relationship, right? Because again, until we have proof, they can't really. But if you're going on tour, you would have to hotel rooms, put people's names, IDs, passports in the hotel room. Now, funny thing, this all happened before he was supposed to go overseas. It is very, very hard to fake a passport. Again, I don't even know if anybody's ever tried, because if you get caught, you're done. Overseas, they are very, very strict about who's staying in hotel rooms. It's not like in America where they can leave you a key. Overseas, they're like, wait, you need to check in. Can we see your ID? Very, very strict. It's funny that the minute it would have been severe pushback to David's rising star, bringing his underage girlfriend with him overseas, because she would have needed her parents' permission to get a passport. And they couldn't fake it. All of a sudden she goes over missing. But even if they were touring in America or even his little shows, you need to let us know, hey, Celeste is coming. There's a +1. She needs a backstage tour. His manager would coordinate all of that. Again, it makes me just look at his assertions that he just didn't know. Well, actually, he said he didn't talk to David that much. He didn't say that he didn't know.
No, this is the struggle I guess I have, is that, you know, he makes it very clear, I'm a married father of 3. I live in a different state. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I think this statement, if I had to analyze it, I think it would be like he feels a little bit of guilt here, possibly because maybe, and again, I am speculating.
It's the same age.
This is not fact. Maybe he did see Celeste at one point in passing, but he just didn't think anything of it. He wasn't thinking she, you know, maybe he was thinking she looks young, but whatever. I'm busy. I'm on my phone. I have my own shit to deal with. I don't know. So
his daughter's the same age as Celeste, though.
Yeah,
when you have little kids, you know what a little kid looks like. But go on.
No, crazy. And so that's where I think maybe he does have some kind of guilt. I'm not saying culpability. I'm saying guilt because he didn't, you know, he wasn't as attentive to what could have been going on underneath the roof that he rented where his name is attached. So I also feel like he probably got yelled at for commenting on the TikTok because he has not said a word. I know I've been asked, you know, to confirm his handle by different media outlets, and they've tried to slide, I think, and they're like, well, he won't respond to us. And yeah, I mean, he hasn't responded to me either at all. So I don't know. I think also if I'm David, you know, he lost a lot of money on, you know, with canceling all of his tours. And I'm sure that LAPD said, look, you got to stay local. If you don't, we might be forced to like send the US Marshals on your ass. I don't know. Okay. So he did, and he is. And I think at this point, I think David, you know, regardless of what is about to happen, regardless if he gets apprehended for statutory concealment, providing whatever it is, I think he needs that to move forward, because I think, again, speculating, I think he will be cleared of the red room. I think he will be charged with other things.
Damn it, Lauren. Why do you think he would be cleared of this?
Had an arrest warrant by now. I just, even without the homicide charge or the homicide manner of death, I think after this much time, the Tesla cameras, you know, they could have gotten the subpoena for the Tesla cameras. I mean, I just think that it's too much time. Too much time.
Okay, it's not time, but I have to say this. Is not, in a case like this, the absence of evidence itself? Because hear me out.
Yeah.
Wow, there was no video surveillance in Hollywood Hills, which is home invasion video surveillance. That's like the Kingdom Come.
Mm,
Everybody has high level security in the Hollywood Hills because there is a problem with home
yeah.
invasions when you get to those $1 million houses. So let's just go through this. Wouldn't you know it? Our video cameras were turned off and the Tesla camera was off. And you know what? I don't know where Celeste was. This girl that I was obsessed with, I left on tour and I don't know. And guess what? She did happen to show up in my Tesla. But how did they get in? The car
Mhm.
wasn't reported stolen. The absence of evidence outside of a body, to me, if I was a detective, would make me point my finger even more because it's actually weird. There's no other evidence. There's no last phone call or text messages of you being like, F you, you B, don't ever come out of
Well,
here.
we
Go
we don't
back
know.
home.
We don't even know who has Celeste's phone. We don't even know if her phone was found, and this is the tough part. And
Mm,
again, apparently there are surveillance videos at the house, which shows people coming in and out. So they would have gotten Celeste, but
unless it was turned off. David had access to turn that off.
right. And something else I was thinking about is like I think that surveillance footage in the Hollywood Hills on the street, I think that might delete every 30 days or so.
Yes.
Don't quote me on that, but that could be a big problem as well for the Tesla because if they are implicating or they're insinuating her body was there for a lot longer, they're not going to have the footage of possibly the person that put her in there in the first place.
Again,
But
the absence of evidence is so suspicious. I believe in coincidences, but people that are just operating out of fear, they move very, very sloppy. They don't think out. Why do I think her body was in there? Just hear me out. I think
yeah.
something happened to her. I think that they put her in the Tesla. I think the plan was for him to be overseas as the alibi. Whether she was, because let's not forget, even if she wasn't chopped up, she was 71 pounds. Something bad happened, okay?
I do
5'2",
not get
71
that.
pounds. Yeah, 5'2", 71 pounds. I think that because, groupies, flunkies, guys know people, that
Mm,
I think somebody was supposed to pick up that car. I think that and move it somewhere else and dispose of Celeste. I think that
mhm.
everybody was nervous and they left the car on the street because they're like, the police might be watching us. I don't know. And they left the car on the street, watching to see if the coast was clear. And before they felt comfortable, the neighbors were like, what is going on with this? And they towed the car. And once the car was towed, everybody was like, okay, hands off.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I guess anything is possible at this point. I mean, I remember initially reading that report of her being 71 pounds, and they had initially said she's 15 years old, 71
Yeah.
pounds, and I was like, no, my 9-year-old's like 60. This is like no way. But
Yeah.
I know that everybody's different on the growing
No.
or
But
whatever. But however, Steve Fisher spoke with a few of her family and friends. She was closer to like 95, 100 pounds, which, I guess does make a difference. I think you had said this, and I had asked the medical examiner's office and the LAPD, which they did not give me an answer. And I just said, so 71 pounds were pieces of her missing. And they
yeah.
just said, you have to wait for the autopsy. I don't know why they would tell us that, right? Why would they tell
Mm,
us? But they said that initially. I don't know if they expected
exactly.
this
It's
case
yes.
to blow up like it did and for there to be such crazy public interest in it. And so that's why you always have to be careful what you say because once you say one thing and your LAPD or your OCME or whatever, sorry, I'm in New York, so I say OCME, the
Yeah, yeah.
LA Medical Examiner's Office, like we're gonna run with that as media, and you got to be able to back that up.
But again, here's the thing, Lauren, and I get what you're saying. Maybe I just inherently don't not I don't trust the police. I'm not saying they're lying, but it's like TMZ is very, very specific about their reporting. Very
Mhm.
specific. TMZ doesn't like to look stupid. Again, anytime they've had anything dealing with any of the forces, police, fire, like whatever, they always come correct. I
Yeah.
don't see TMZ letting somebody say something crazy. I think whoever they talked to was very well placed and that they could speak on it. The only other thing, and just do you think this might be a possibility, that they are playing a game, releasing a bunch of false information, trying to see if someone gets spooked? Like saying she was dismembered and 71 pounds when they know for a fact, but we put a whole body in the car. What are you talking about? Saying, guess what? We did an autopsy. She wasn't pregnant. Because the fact is saying she hasn't been pregnant in the last year, I'm like, that's pretty much impossible to tell whether somebody's been pregnant in the last year unless they were heavily pregnant. Hormones degrade very quickly. A body badly decomposed. It's very, very hard to tell. And if she was dismembered and the uterus is gone, but if I'm putting out false information, I'm trying to spook you because I want you to be like, wait a second. Have you ever seen anything? Talking to Steve, do you think that might be a possibility, or do you think it's a game of telephone?
I mean, I think that, again, initially the report of the dismemberment, I don't think that was necessarily a lie by LAPD. I think it was, they just jumped to conclusions too quickly, and that just spread, like wildfire. I don't think it was a lie necessarily at all. I think at the time they truly believed it. But legally, aside from being in like an interrogation room, police can't outright lie to the public. They can say, like what you said, they can say certain things that could be strategic, as to what they're trying to do and who they're trying to get to come forward.
Well, that's what I mean. It seems vague, which seems to be because they're aware of what's being said online. So to your point of, not to interrupt you, maybe not flat out lying, but definitely being as vague as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Putting information out through TMZ and then coming with someone else, Jamie had a good point. She said, do you think the Fed stepped in because she's a minor and that's why they're taking time and people don't know, just like the Diddy trial and other cases? And that might be why the cops can't say anything that's new because the Feds have gotten involved.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about the Feds. I didn't know if possibly there was some kind of footprint of her, doing some interstate travel with him. I know that one concert, it was proven not to be her. And you went over this too. I think you need like a real ID now to travel. Who knows if she has that? But I did think about that. The FBI could be involved if they, again, because she's a minor, because it possibly involved interstate travel. We don't know. I also was thinking, are there cyber crimes at hand? This guy was so immersed in like the, whatever these worlds are that I feel so old when I'm trying to be like, how do you say manja? I'm like, I feel like such an idiot. And I'm just like, I didn't think I was that old, but yeah. So I just feel like, yeah, there's a lot that they are juggling. And again, I really don't think they anticipated the public's eyes all over them 24/7 interest in this.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a new age where people on social media are gathering clues at lightning speed. Instead of having just one detective, you have hundreds of thousands, even millions of people all using their brains, and information and promising things do come up. I mean, I looked at your Twitter thread and I was like, holy shit, okay, Lauren, you're going to solve this for us. Just for everybody in the chat, I hear people saying that you can see the pregnancy hormone by testing behind people's eyeballs in an autopsy. I do want to say that all hormones decompose within a week of the body being dead. If it's badly decomposed, it's very, very, very hard for hormones to survive. So that's why it was so shocking that they said she hadn't been pregnant in the last year. Again, this goes back to maybe they're trying to smoke people out because they're trying to smoke people out. And maybe what they're releasing are things that David or his crew told them that they don't necessarily believe, but they're trying to smoke people out to see. I don't know. It's really, really, really sad. I hope that we do find justice for Celeste. Lauren, I know that you have to go. Really quick, why don't you tell everybody where to find you?
Oh, yes. You can find me on YouTube at Pop Crime TV. And you can also find me on Twitter. My handle's Conlin_Lauren. You can find, I've been doing a lot of reporting on this case specifically for Los Angeles Magazine. So you can find a lot of my stories there. I did a story yesterday with Steve Fisher, where basically he kind of reads between the lines with what the LAPD said and why he thinks it might be an OD. Again, not saying that there's no criminal culpability for anyone else, but it could be. So I don't know. I don't know when it's time for all of us to stop speculating here. I did
never time to stop speculating, but continue.
No, I just like I said, I feel just so incredibly bad for this poor girl, Celeste. I don't, it's been one of those things where I cover a lot of cases. There's a lot of darkness, but this one is really dark.
Very dark.
I feel, lucky that I never, I obviously I was a teen at one point, my parents I thought were annoying, but
Can you imagine if a singer who was 6 years older than you and worldwide and all your friends, and he's trying to talk to you and telling you he loves you and writing love songs? Any 13-year-old girl, again,
he's
even if she didn't start dating him, you would be screaming at your parents every night, I hate you, you ruined my life. So,
yeah, and I mean, I think about her just walking down these
yeah,
huge streets in California by
yeah,
herself, without a backpack, and I'm like, this girl, like this poor girl. And then
yeah,
I led with like yelling at her family, and we all have to see how upset she was and
yeah,
how she just seemed to go through a lot in her short life, and she didn't deserve that. I mean, nobody
no.
deserves that, really. It's like, it's really bothering me. So I hope that somebody will be arrested soon, and she can get justice, because again,
Definitely.
here.
Last question before you go. Just
Yeah,
1 minute quick answer.
no,
A lot
you're
of
good.
people are talking about the Tesla and about the footage in the Tesla. I did a little research and basically it's like how much storage you have. Um
Yeah.
you talking to Steve, we're going to try to get you back with more time,
Yeah.
and also maybe even have Steve Fisher on. But from your case, because you've investigated this a lot, with the Tesla and the camera footage, what do you think are the odds that there is camera footage, and why or why not would there be?
I mean, I think that there would be camera footage at this point, because whoever did this is dumb enough to leave it in a car. I shouldn't say it. My God, sorry.
But I
Leave
know what you're
her.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, leave her in
We're
a car.
talking around the algorithm, you guys. So we're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
being
sorry.
insensitive, but we
No,
don't want to get our channel banned. So yeah.
no, leave her in the
Yeah.
car for that. I feel like, yeah, he had, or whoever did this had to have known. Were they smart enough to turn them off? Were they familiar with Teslas? Did this person even know that Teslas have 9 cameras? I mean, we don't know who we're talking about here. So, right? Like, I know my mom, for example, would have no idea that there's 9 cameras, and she'd be like, whatever. But like, I don't know. So is he smart enough to turn them off? Is he smart enough to delete the footage? And again, I say I don't know, but we'll find out. I have to think that police are in possession of a lot of physical evidence right
But
now. They're,
yeah, the
yeah,
one
going
thing
on.
I want to know is, and the police will release it when they're ready, who had access to that car? Because at the end of the day, somebody
Multiple
put her
people.
in the car, but multiple people. But really,
Mhm.
because the manager's saying it's not me. David, who did you give access to? Because that is a very, very short list. I don't know about you, but how many people truly have access to your car? Second question that when you're back, I'll ask you, or
Mhm.
if you want to just comment really
Yeah, no,
briefly.
I'm good. I'm good. I can
Okay,
hear my kids outside. They're
okay,
fine right now. They had no school
okay.
today. There's never school. Good.
So when you actually get to, thank you so much for staying a few more minutes. When you actually get to the Tesla information, you
Mhm.
know, she might have been dead for several weeks. That car was sitting there. Here's what I want to know. This is your car and it's registered in your name. When you were in LA prior to leaving on tour in August, what car were you driving? How were you getting around? Who had access to this? I mean, these type of things are just like, David, somebody, it's a small circle, and if you weren't driving that car, who was? And why weren't you driving the car registered to you?
Yeah, I mean, Josh Marshall actually said, as part of his denial, there are, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said
Mhm.
something like, there are many others that have way more of a day-to-day contact with David than I do. He did not list these people. I don't know who they are. But
Wow, I
yeah,
love that.
but there are multiple cars that are attached, let's say, to that house. There was also a red Tesla that everybody said was registered to his manager, Josh Marshall. Josh came out and said, no, there's nothing registered to me in California. That's not my car. It turns out it was registered to management, plural. We don't know the names behind that. Somebody was seen driving, backing it out of the garage with boxes, like wearing a mask, probably on purpose. so the
Mhm.
paparazzi wouldn't get them.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got an entourage. So I would think there's a lot of people
Well,
that,
how would John Marshall know that? He barely talked to him. So how do you know who's around him on the day-to-day?
well,
It's like,
there you
does,
go.
yeah, does my mom know who's around me on the day-to-day? We talk all the time. It's like, how would you know if you barely talk to this person
Yeah, I
on a
mean,
day-to-day?
it's a tough situation because it's always hard when things appear to be one way and we think that everything points in this one direction. But sometimes I put myself in the position, of someone like Josh, who, like I said, I think he feels guilty. I don't necessarily know if he has any culpability, but I think, again, if he did see Celeste in passing and he just looked the other way, that would be where his guilt comes from.
Mm.
And I would hate, for his whole family to be blown up if he really did have not, you know what I mean? Like, it's so tough. And I guess we
But
all,
here's the thing,
on the
though.
internet,
I get what you're saying, and I'm not
yeah.
encouraging anyone to go harass this man
No,
because
no,
we
do
don't know
not.
what
Do not.
happened. I am
I've
saying
had
this.
worse.
Yeah, I am saying this. If you truly didn't want to be involved, why are you in TikTok comments? See, here's the thing. David and his camp seem very, very savvy. They know how to move the needle. They know how to get narratives out. There's people in discords, gang banging. No, David and Celeste were just friends, even though the whole Discord is like, bro, we saw the beginning of your romance in Fortnite. Stop
Yeah.
playing, right? There are, or alleged romance. There are, they have been in TikTok comments. They have been on Discords. They have been pushing the narrative that David's innocent to the people that matter. His
Mm,
fan base. His
yeah.
fan base is largely Gen X. So again, I'm not saying Josh Marshall, guilty, not guilty. I don't
Mhm.
know. I am saying that everything here is just a little bit too clean. And the fact that we are living in an alternate universe where nothing makes sense, nothing adds up, but there's no evidence, but everybody can say it's not me. Again, with David, who was the last people around Celeste? Who did you have her around? The biggest thing of guilt with me, I thought, was whether he had something to do with it or not. If I found out while we were on live that somebody was found in my car trunk, my first thing would be like, oh my God, huh? And then to find out it was an ex. Wait, what? I even finding out somebody was in my car trunk, there was never any, what? Oh my God, what is going on? I hope the LAP gets to this. His silence
Yeah.
has been the most damning thing, even before we knew who was in that car. It's almost as if he knew who was in the car and he was just hoping that she maybe couldn't be identified, because it seemed like a very expert move to wrap her in plastic, because that does help with the decomposition much, much quicker.
Yeah, and look, I think that if she was not a minor, it would be a different story. I think that if this was, a singer that was over 18, I think that David and his attorneys would probably put out some kind of statement, especially if they were seen together, if they were, if it was proven that they were friends. I think a statement would 100% come out. I think because she was, 12, 13, 14 when he knew her, he has been advised no statement at all. But going back to your point, Tisa, when you just said, oh, if there was a body found in my car, and I had nothing to do with it, people give others a lot of crap for lawyering up, when they are quote unquote innocent. But wouldn't you lawyer up immediately? Of course you would. If a
Lord,
body is found in your
but
car,
where's but again, he's just now lowering up from what we know. So it's kind of like 2-3 weeks. You have management. You're on Interscope. You are a business right now, not just a singer. People have a vested interest in making sure all the money they put into you doesn't go to waste. I'm saying the way he reacted, it doesn't make sense on anything. You didn't make a statement. You're just now lowering up.
No,
Again,
I agree with you. His
no.
silence, I think, is what is going, or what, not what, but it's going to really add to his career being destroyed, or his reputation at least. I mean, it's like, say anything. You don't have to. I know that a fixer, a PR specialist could
Mhm.
craft him one sentence. They could craft him one sentence, unless police, and police can't tell him what to do, but maybe police have also advised, like, hey, just, lay low, don't say anything until. But the fact that TMZ is all over this and we have not seen David once,
Yes.
Where is he? What's he doing? Where is he? I know. It's so
Exactly.
crazy. It's
It's
crazy.
again, we'll see. If he wasn't a suspect, I wonder if he was free to leave. Is he even in America anymore? If you're not a
Definitely,
suspect, you're free to move.
I do not think he left the country.
Why is
I
that?
wouldn't be, well, I think they advise you until everything is, kind of tied up with a bow. Don't leave the country, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was like in his parents' basement in Texas playing Fortnite right now. That would not surprise me. But again,
Good point.
with this case, I don't know anymore, Tisa. I don't know. And it's like the more that I talk about it, the more I'm just like, well, wait, that doesn't make sense either. I don't know. So
Well, listen, thanks so much for saying. I will say with this case, I know you're going to be following this to the end. I will too, because I don't think it just, even if it was an OD, I don't think that ends there. I think, like you said, a lot of people failed this little girl. A lot of people preyed on this little girl. A lot of people took advantage of this little girl. One does not, I used to volunteer with at-risk youth. One does not run away from home multiple times when, you have a mom that loves you and a dad that's saying you're the apple of his eye. It could happen, but it's usually something underneath. So I think a
well,
lot of people fail.
sorry, go ahead. No, sorry, go
No,
ahead.
no, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
forgot one thing that Steve
Yeah.
said to me yesterday that I did clip, and it's on the LA Magazine Twitter. It's on my YouTube under a short. Steve confirmed that Celeste was seen at parties in the Hollywood Hills in July of 2025 with David and with some of her quote siblings.
And some of her siblings. Now
Yes.
that is an exclusive. Well, it's on your channel, but
No, it's fine.
thank
I put
you.
it out yesterday, but this
So
is the thing with me. Like, I didn't put it out as a headline,
yeah.
because
So
Steve,
Celeste was
yeah,
seen in July 2025 with
yeah,
David and her siblings. So that
apparently,
means that she passed away. It had to be sometime late July and August. It would
yes,
have to
correct,
be sometime after.
correct.
Wow. So
Mhm.
the siblings did he say who the siblings were? Was it a brother, sister?
He did, but he didn't want to out them. So
Was it one, two? Was it more than one sibling?
I don't know. I mean, I have an
Okay,
idea, but
okay.
I don't. The thing is, I think that like him keeping his sources so close to the vest, I don't want to pry, because I
And
don't
that's
want to.
why he gets, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but I did think that was super important to the timeline here. So I can't believe I forgot to tell you guys that, but I can send you a link to the video. And I did attribute that with an article because it's just like it again with you don't want to blame the family at all, but you also have to point out that like her family, I've looked at them on Facebook, like they don't really speak a lot of English. I know it could be hard for them to sort of relay what they're trying to relay to police.
Or
It's tough.
let's be
Like,
real. In this day and age in America, even trust the authorities because
yeah,
they could all be here legally and still get harassed, just even inviting them into the
100%.
home. So, I mean, we live in the real world. We have to talk about real world things. For
Yeah.
it's not even important whether they're legal anymore. It matters. Will they be harassed? Is this bringing more? On top of that, they could be afraid that, well, we let her run away. But even then, I get the fact that multiple people failed her. And usually with child predators, they prey on people that don't have a strong family system or even people whose families are thumbs upping it and like delivering them to her. I'm not saying that's what happened with her
Totally.
family.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
But you know what? I
Yeah.
do want to say, because at the end of the day, there is a duty to care under the law, right?
Mhm.
And if he had a runaway, who was depending on him and that she had a duty to care. So I am interested to see where this goes, what happens.
Yeah.
Um, Lauren, thank you for dropping that bombshell on us
Yes. No, of
about
course.
the
And
dad.
you can find Steve saying it on my video so you can hear it
Yeah.
straight from the horse's mouth. And also the fact that it is concerning that she did go back and forth, but she was never taken out of the FBI's missing child database. Like, and that also could be a law enforcement thing. It could also be, like we said, like the family not really speaking English very well or being a little nervous about law enforcement. I mean, the one thing I'll say is all of the rumors about the family, I don't I guess anyone perpetuating those, I really would like to know, like, have you seen bank records? Have you seen receipts? I'm not saying that it's totally far-fetched because it's not, but like in
Well,
order to further that stuff, like how could you know what I
well,
mean? Like
let's talk about it with David. And I've heard the rumors that he was paying off Celeste's family.
yeah,
I
I've
didn't
heard
see
that
any
too.
ev- yeah, I haven't seen any evidence outside of people just saying that. However, multiple children
Mhm.
from Celeste's neighborhood have posted on their IG stories or this and that David was out in Lake Elsner and he was paying little kids money
Is that
to
true?
yes, it was multiple kids from there posted it on their IG live. They even had screenshots of David talk, and it's kind of like, David, what were you doing in Lake Elston? Now, here's the thing: it was before Celeste passed away, I
I
believe.
saw the picture of like
Yeah,
him in like the parking lot. I saw that. That was that the one like near the
it,
school or
yeah,
whatever?
it was a screenshot from the IG live, and the IG live showed whatever. Now he could have been giving the kid money, like, "Hey, go get me a Twinkie." I don't know, but then this was before Celeste passed away. But I think that rumor came from the fact of multiple people in that area said that he was telling people to stay quiet
Look the other
about
way. So
about
I believe
yeah,
that. Look,
yeah.
I believe that. I just, I can't report it yet unless I start digging into
No,
bank
I get
records,
it. I get it. And listen, the
But
police, they
yeah.
have more, they're verifying.
Yes.
So when do you think we're going to get an update from the police about what's going on? I mean, is this, they just can't keep this an open investigation. Do you think because it's so high profile, they will update the public at some point if David's lawyer requests he be cleared as a suspect?
Well, what was it? It was 2 days ago that they released that statement. And I don't know if you saw, I had actually called them and I had called them 3 times that day. And I was getting so angry, Tisa, because they didn't return my calls, my emails, and then I would see an article come out
This
with
is the
TMZ. It's like,
LAPD.
what's that?
You called the LAPD?
LAPD, yeah. And then I would
Okay,
see
go
an
on.
article come out, and it was like Captain Scott, whatever, tells TMZ, and I'm like, "Fuck is this guy not calling me back for?" I'm like, so I'm getting mad. So I call again, and I was just like, "Look, I don't care if I talk to the captain. I have 3 questions. It'll take you 5 minutes." And they transferred me over to the PIO, which is the press information officer. And she said to me, "We are putting out a written statement in 20 minutes." Oh, and
I'm
after
still here. Go
that,
on.
no, it's all good. She said, and after that, we are not going to say anything further. So I was like, okay. So I tweeted that out and then I retweeted their statement, which again told us really nothing. But that's what she said. You won't be hearing from us further, after this statement. So my speculation is that we won't hear from them until they have an arrest or until the autopsy is complete and the tox report is complete. That's my assumption. So yeah. And I think she's busy. So but I can still hear my kids are alive, so that's good.
No, sorry about
Sorry. I'm
that.
like,
I
I
was
can hear
listening the
them
whole
and
time.
they're good. But yeah, so anyway,
But so you're saying that they're going to say you're not going to hear, we're not going to hear anything until the appropriate time. They think it's too
pretty
close.
much. I think,
Okay.
yeah, pretty much. So yeah, so I guess we should definitely, if I hear anything or if I'll send you articles, I'll send you any like
No,
leads or
listen,
tips that I had. Yeah,
I
for
appreciate you
sure.
joining. It was a
Yeah.
big favor. I know we have the Diddy thing in front of us. I hope to have you back next week because I've actually been putting my ear to the street, talking to people in Celeste's neighborhood just to
Ooh.
see what they're actually saying. And they are very, very upset at the way Celeste is being portrayed. They're very upset at there's a lot of stuff going on, but
Yeah.
it seems like they might be ready to go on record about the things that they actually saw. Of course, like you said, law enforcement is involved. Everybody's being asked to keep a low profile, but they're very, very upset at what's going on. And they're saying that Celeste being back home is a gross exaggeration. Yes, she was there, but it wasn't like she was coming and vacationing. It was more like she wasn't
Mm,
happy she was there. And as soon as she could, she got the hell out of there too. So, I mean, it gets super, super complicated. And again,
yeah.
it's the life of a runaway, but we're going to have to see. I just hope that there are devices. Last thing before you go, 2
Mhm.
seconds. Do
Yes.
you think that even David's tour, um, I don't know. Do you think it's possible that devices were dropped over the Indian Ocean and, evidence? There's
Oh,
one tour because David wears a stack that looks
yeah.
eerily similar to Celeste. I think that what was going on is Celeste wore a lot of David's clothes and jewelry. I think
Mm,
that's what's going on. They seem to be the same
yeah,
size, and
that's
he's
true. That's
121
true.
pounds. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that, but there was when he was performing over at his last tour date, he was throwing um jewelry into the
Mhm.
crowd. And
Mm,
everybody said it would be interesting if he was gonna, and again, this is just pure speculation, but at this point, you're
yeah.
like, why are you just taking off jewelry and throwing it into a random crowd? But it is what it is.
That's interesting. I did
Yeah,
not know that. I mean, I admittedly have not watched a lot of footage from his other concerts, so I don't know if this is like a normal thing for him. Of course, we can all do one
true.
thing on a whim as a performer, but I find that to be interesting. Like
Yeah.
what are you getting rid of? I don't know. I have no idea. Literally zero, but that is a really good point. Yeah, I don't see him like getting rid of his devices over there, let's say, because he
I mean,
finds
I
them on
would.
the
It would
cloud.
be.
You know what I mean? The cloud is like kind of everybody's worst and best invention
It
ever.
would be in the Indian Ocean. I wouldn't care. Last thing for people that are putting together clues, do you think that the LAPD has people looking at social media, or do you think that people on social media that think they have something should actually contact and approach the LAPD?
They are all over social media all the
Okay,
time. They are looking at this stuff. They are trying to authenticate some of these photos that have been surfacing on Reddit, wherever. 100%. I mean, definitely. I think that sure, people should definitely send stuff to law enforcement because that's where so many of their tips come from is the public. It's kind of it's I don't want to say it's shameful, but even when Charlie Kirk was murdered, they're sitting there begging, if you know anything, please. And
yeah,
you're like, you bitches do your job. Like, what, you know what I mean? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, so it's the public is very imperative to all of these
yeah.
investigations for sure. So
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Lauren, listen, thank you so much. I'm going to have you back as soon as time allow. I will
Yes,
see you in the
yes,
courtroom tomorrow. And thank
tomorrow.
you so much
Like,
for
what time are you
joining.
getting there? I'm so oh
And
God.
so the trial's supposed to be starting at 10 a.m., but they told us to be there super, super early. Um, I think it's going to be a melee.
Me
I'll be
too.
there. I mean, I would say unless somebody's trying to murder me in that case. I don't know when I'll be there, but
No, I
I'll
know.
be
It's
there
gonna be
covering it.
MTA lady out there
Yeah.
talking about her vagina. It's gonna be crazy. Candy. No, I actually like her. She actually calmed down, but it's a circus out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, she did. Depending on, she's sweet as honey, depending on the day you catch her. But when she's not, you get to be like, all right, okay, I'll see you later. But no, we'll both be covering it. I
Yes,
think the trial starts at 10 a.m. It looks like
yes,
it's going to be a full day. Diddy's going to speak. Um, who knows?
yeah.
Who else? Gina wrote a letter saying that the feds forced her and made her think she was a victim. All right, girl. Even though,
A
really
lot,
quick,
a lot.
that Gina thing, I'm like, but we're not talking about whether he is a sex trafficker anymore. Now we're talking about his propensity for violence. So the
I don't
violence he inflicted.
I mean, well, I could argue the opposite that because he's being sentenced for I don't know, I don't want to say it on your channel, like, well, the Mann Act, which is
The man is
yeah, because he's being
prostituting. Yeah.
sentenced for that,
Yeah.
that's they're not really focusing on violence per se. But if you look at that motion, there's crazy case law. I mean, the definition, I would say the constitutional definition of prostitution, men and women out there, if you ever get popped for this, I mean, the spectrum here of what they could charge you with or what they could convict you on and sentencing wise, it literally is a spectrum. It is not cut and dry, which is why at first I was like, oh no, I was like, Diddy will get like 18 months or I don't know, whatever. Now I'm
Oh
like,
no.
I don't know. Now
The
I'm like,
pre-sentencing report,
yeah,
and this is what I mean about the violence. The pre-sentencing report had the total was 27.
mhm,
Right? So they look at what you did. This is the base. And then they look at, okay, so you did this, but how did you do it? Was it cruel? Was it vicious? Was it
yeah,
violent? Does it, they gave him 27, which is 27 points, which is 5 years to 7 years, 3 months. And when I saw that, I said, I know his heart dropped into his shoes because
oh,
the
he
pre-sentencing
shivered.
report,
Yeah,
yeah, the pre-sentencing report, they are the fair middle of the road, neutral. And for them to say, I think 5 to 7 years, that's saying something. That's saying something. But yeah, listen, Lauren.
He is not happy, right? I
Yeah,
literally like, I don't know what it is. It's not my life. It has nothing to do with me. But for whatever reason, like with the verdict, and I know tomorrow, like I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Like it's not my. It's just so weird, and with I just dread it. It makes me uncomfortable. Everything about just seeing like families on both sides. Like, let's say Kat, I just, I don't want to look at her all hurt. And I don't want to look at like Diddy's little daughters, the twin girls. Every time I look at them, I just have to
makes
look
me
away
angry though. I look at
about
Diddy's
them.
family, and his mom looks like my grandmother. His family no, they do. She does. His family looks like my cousins, right? When I look at his family, I see my own family, and I feel really, really bad too. But then I get angry because I'm like, why is it our fault to feel guilty when Diddy's the one that did it? You're the one that didn't care about your
Because
family.
you're a human, and I think it's
Yeah.
human nature that, even this guy I spoke to, that worked in HSI,
Yeah.
NYPD. I don't know if you remember the day that the jury came back and they said, oh, we're hung, or sorry, we've got a verdict on 2, but we're hung on, whatever. And if you remember, like Diddy was like on the ground and like his
Yeah.
lawyers were like hovering. Even that guy who literally spent over a year, in order to put him behind bars, even he was like, I felt bad for him. Like he's like, even I was like, because you're a human being and you're meant to have like, it's one of those things where it's like you've done horrible things, but then when you're in this position and you look so pathetic and you've got, it's just human nature. I don't know how to explain it.
I think his family has been the sympathetic. I think in court, Diddy hasn't looked pathetic. I think he's been unrepentant. I truly do believe that he needs to spend a significant amount of time. Okay, maybe he won't be gone for his whole life, but a significant amount of time to actually repent or rehabilitate. Just do something. Because right now, it's shocking to me how all his victims are. If he gets out, he's going to come after us. And they all swear that. So, yeah.
Well, just keep in mind, federal prison, there's no parole. So you get 5 years.
There's not. I didn't know that.
Oh, you could get a pardon, or possibly you could get a slightly shortened sentence for good behavior, which I would think is no, like a year maybe. So it's pretty much what you get is what you get for the most part.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay. Well, yeah, he must be feeling sick right now, but we'll be there to actually talk about it, document it. Lauren, thank you again so much. I'm sorry I kept you over.
No, it's fine.
But you're one of my favorite people. Thank you so much for coming and sharing what you know. And you guys, make sure you check her out at New York Mag. Make sure you check her out on Twitter and also on YouTube. Close out with your socials one more time, just in case.
My YouTube is Pop Crime TV. And my Twitter is Conlon_Lauren. Los Angeles Magazine. You can find my stories there. And I have a website, popcrime.tv. It's
just go to any of her socials. She links to all of them. Lauren Conlon, thank you so much for coming.
I'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Okay, all right, see you tomorrow.
Safe, okay?
I'll do my best.
Bye. See you later.
Bye.